Sitting on a plane next to his mother, Sarah, Aiden Lowry seemed to be a young man going places, a high school student with dreams of fancy cars, fancy jobs, and living in London.
There was, this energetic, like I said, super active, full of life kid with, goals and dreams, straight A student.
COVID shutdown hit Aiden hard. Isolation, Sarah told us, led to anxiety to depression. Experimentation with a new friend led to marijuana in a THC vape, Sarah tells us.
It's actually completely crazy to think that it was happening right under my nose, in my home.
Aiden's parents thought it was a mental health issue, sending him to therapists and a psychiatrist, but the kid who once shared everything with his mom was now keeping lots of secrets. When the THC wasn't enough, Aiden at some point tried what he thought was Percocet, a dangerous but if legit pharmaceutical-grade oxycodone opioid pill. But as it is in way too many cases, that pill wasn't legit. A drug test found Aiden had fentanyl in his system. Aiden told his mom he had no idea how it got there. Sarah certainly didn't either.
He really struggled with that because he really wanted to be a good person.
How often was he using?
He was using every single day.
Sarah told us the police have yet to find the person supporting Aiden's descent into addiction, but we do know the drug was easy to get. At the time Aiden was using, federal court records show this man, Alpha Camaro, was one of the dealers flooding the Prince William County community with cheap fentanyl.
I think you get a little jaded in this line of work about how much of this there is.
Court records show Camaro was wholesaling thousands of fentanyl pills in the area, pressed into Percocet lookalikes. And so to a kid who got them?
Would look like legitimate Percocet.
It's grinding, it's daunting.
At the DEA's drug lab in Largo, Maryland, supervisory chemist Jacqueline Brown showed the I-team just a small amount of their lab's recent haul. Here, every analyst has to work fentanyl cases every day just to keep up.
6 and 10 pills have a lethal dosage in them.
The U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Jessica Hebert, says Camaro was selling to smaller-scale dealers in the area. We don't know if the person who sold Aiden pills bought from Camaro, but his case shows how cheap and widespread the supply of deadly fentanyl was when Aiden was using. How many days had he been off home confinement before he gets arrested again?
2 days. Yeah, it's crazy.
Alpha Camaro was convicted in 2018 of a gun and drug charge and released from home confinement in May of last year. Federal court records show just 3 days after that home confinement ended, Camaro had fentanyl suppliers in Scottsdale, Arizona and Seattle, Washington, sending him thousands of pills, likely supplied through Mexico, all of it, court records showed, traveling through the U.S. mail.
All right, I'm right on him.
The fight against Alpha Camaro ended June 26th of last year, a chase down I-95 at 140 miles an hour.
All right, 1050. 1050 into the guardrail.
Camaro flipped the stolen Dodge Charger, seen in this police dashcam video.
Hands up!
He was driving and survived. When officers searched the car, court records show they found a handgun, 18,000 fentanyl pills, and $13,000 in cash. Court records show he'd sold 10,000 pills just the day before. One dealer, 3 days off his last sentence. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing. It's horrifying, actually.
If one pill can make an addict, if one pill can be fatal, think of how many lives and families 18,000 pills affect.
He said, I've ruined my life. He was desperate for change.
Last fall, Aiden agreed to another rehab, this time in Florida. That's where he and his mom were headed in that smiling picture. But a day after checking in, Aiden ran away from the Florida center, and they ended up sending him home.
I remember him just telling me, you don't know how hard this is for me.
Thanksgiving passed and Christmas approached. The pull of the pill he never wanted to take was just too much. Do you think in the end he knew he was using fentanyl?
He did know in the end.
And that's what he wanted? Do you think that's what he sought out?
I do.
On a Saturday morning in December,
I went into his bedroom and
Sarah found her son.
I saw him there with his eyes closed, and I called his name, and he didn't answer. And I started calling it louder, and he didn't do anything, and he wasn't moving, and I knew then.
Months after they buried Aiden, Alpha Camaro was sentenced to more than 11 years in prison for drug charges. There are no winners in the fight against fentanyl.
I'm angry at addiction, and I'm angry at the creators of this pill. I think that, I honestly think that he was somewhat innocent in this, like that he did not ask for this and certainly didn't understand what he was getting himself into.
She is so brave to share what that family has gone through, and we can't thank her enough. She speaks out as often as she can now, pushing for more treatment, more harm reduction, more prevention efforts at area schools. The U.S. Attorney Jessica Hebert calls fentanyl one of the greatest public safety crises we face. She tells us Kamara showed no remorse through this process, but keep in mind, he's not some mainstream dealer. He's one guy operating at the time. Our attempts to reach him in prison were unsuccessful.